I'm here with Mr. Guard, Robbie Guard, that is, running for mayor in Cape Girardeau. My first question for you would be, when you look at Cape Girardeau, what are the biggest issues and problems that you see that you look to solve if you were to be elected?
Number one, first and foremost, is going to be crime. We have, people leaving our schools, people leaving our community because of their safety concerns. I've made it very clear about adding more technology, more officers. I just feel like everything starts with how safe your community is. And I want to make sure we hammer that home to the residents.
When you look at other issues as well, what kind of sticks out to you? What kind of highlights to you?
So no matter where I go, people talk about the streets. And it's constantly, will you fix the potholes? Will you fix the potholes? And I believe, the Transportation Trust Fund is, predominantly now being used, the majority of that being used for street repair. It's not going to be enough. With costs rising, the city is going to have to look, have some hard conversations with itself, with our residents, if we are going to get better. People want our streets fixed, and we saw a lot of progress the last few years. Since my time on council in 2024, for the last 4 years, or last 5 years, the city of Cape Girardeau, we have spent more money on street repair each year than ever before. But it's not enough. It's still not happening, and still as fast as it needs to happen.
I agree. And then talking about potholes and stuff like that, I covered a story on potholes, seeing what the city does and that sort, so I'm a little familiar with it. And the biggest issue that I saw when interviewing them was just the climate in general. How do you plan to, adjust to that? And is there a long-term solution you see in your eyes to keep the roads up intact?
Yeah. So in talking with a resident, very smart man, he had seen a story from up in Minnesota. And in Minnesota, they don't just repair their streets, they have annual maintenance on their streets, where they actually have some machinery that goes along their concrete, and they're blowing out the concrete, the dirt from the concrete joints, and then they're reapplying. And so that really had dawned on me, if up in Minnesota they're doing maintenance on streets and not just repair. So I would be interested to see if that's something that the city of Cape Girardeau could do. There's a lot of good technology out there and equipment that might be able to help us with our maintenance over time.
And those utilities of sort, those of course cost money. Would there be any tax hikes, or do you think there's room in the budget?
No, I'm not a tax hike guy, and it's you've got to make do with what you've got. Thankfully, the city of Cape Girardeau has a great finance director in Lisa Mills, and from time to time she's able to find those funds for capital improvements.
Absolutely. And then talking about another issue Mayor Kinder and I talked about, I want to just basically ask the same question to keep it as fair as possible.
Yeah.
These two interviews. But the home situation in Cape Girardeau, it's a problem that a lot of the viewers talk about at the current time. I don't want to circle out the problem because they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But how do you look to help out that situation?
Kudos to the warming shelter, the Cape Girardeau Warming Center, what they've done. I believe that it's you have mental health issues, you have substance issues, and then you have the homeless in the middle. Being able to get all of the nonprofits together, there's a few together now. I think you need to get all of your nonprofits. A lot of times what I've seen in the city, we have multiple groups trying to do the same thing. I don't believe that, I want to help that and champion that, but that's very tough for the city of Cape Girardeau to get involved in those social issues.
Yeah, so then another topic that Kinder and I talked about, and it's been a really big conversation in the Cape Girardeau community, that's our firefighters. You recently got an endorsement from the union here, and talking about the contract, how would you go about that contract? Because when talking to Mayor Kinder, she said there were some issues with budgeting, and that during the time when they did have a contract, up until 2022, they went, in her words, $2.6 million over budget. So is there any talks about getting a contract put into place, and how would you go about that?
I want the residents to know that my opponent is trying to say that I've made promises. I have not made promises. What I've done is I have sat down with the fire union and the Fraternal Order of Police, and all I've done is listened. I'm not promised them anything. Now, look, there's two sides there, and we have to be fiscally responsible for the city of Cape Girardeau. We are not going to bankrupt the city for any one group. We do, however, need to sit down and listen to all parties. I can tell you, I don't have the answer, all the answers with respect to that contract, but we do need to sit down and listen, and that's all I have done. So whenever I sat down with them, there are things that they want that might be unattainable, but it's just about listening, and I've been very proud to have their support. But it's gone on a long time, and I think the residents and I think our firemen, they want a resolution. And it's embarrassing that this is being played out in the news and in social media. We are better than that as a community, I believe.
Absolutely. And you talk about a resolution. What do you think that resolution looks like at the current time? Is there any idea of that?
You know, from talking about it and looking at it, I think there's, I think both sides can give. I mean, I in my life, in my day-to-day life in the banking industry, we negotiate every day, and not each side doesn't win everything that they want to win, but it's got to be fair. And I just believe that both sides could meet and could find a way to get moving forward, but it's got to be fair for both.
In talking about the police department's union and the fire department's union,
Yeah.
Overall, why do you think they have given you your trust, or their trust, rather?
So, it's plain and simple. It's the fact that I've sat down and listened, and I've been very honest and open with my answers and who I am. They want to be listened to. I mean, can you imagine working for an organization that you can't have your top officials listening and willing to sit down? And I point that out because it does not say in the city charter that the city council cannot sit and talk to employees. It merely states that a council member cannot direct a city employee to do something, but you can listen. And part of the time, all they want are police and fire. Really, they just want to be listened to and heard. And I will always do that.
Absolutely. And you are in the city council. You've heard what they've been saying
Yep.
for the past couple of months. Do you think anything is unattainable in which they've asked for?
You know, I have a friend of mine who said everything is figure-outable, and I believe that this is figure-outable. I've looked at both sides, what both sides want to accomplish, and but I think it can be figured out. You know, I was very optimistic whenever I've talked to some in the know that have said, you know, I really think this thing could get figured out in an afternoon. So I was optimistic. So I look forward to hopefully that getting done.
So say you are elected. Day one of being in office and looking into the future, what are the first tasks you're putting on your desk, checking them off, wanting to get done?
Yeah, so first, I would say first and foremost, it's going back to a very formal study session to where the council is bringing up ideas and things that we can have meaningful discussions and having interaction with our residents. And because I believe if you have nothing, if you want to give the ultimate transparency, put everything on the table and have very open, honest conversations between council members, between council and staff, between council and residents. And so that would be number one. That's that transparency and trustworthy aspect.
So talking to Mayor Kinder, it's a team effort with the city manager and the city council, of course, but that effort to knock down, I believe the number was around $50 million, and out of our pretty big debt that we had beforehand, again, it's a team effort, that's not just on the mayor, but as mayor, do you plan, or if you are elected mayor rather, do you plan to keep up the efforts and getting down on that debt?
You know, I give kudos to Bridget Kilhoffner. I give kudos to the previous finance director, John Richborg. A lot of the bonds that were set up years ago to pay off, and you're starting to see that. but that's the nature of our community, and that's to be financially responsible, to be fiscally responsible. And there is no way I would ever want to deviate from that whatsoever. We've got great people in the finance department, and you just, you continue to cultivate them to find ways to make the budget and make those budget ends meet.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate your time, Mr. Guard.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you.